Alrighty. Hello, everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do get started, let me go ahead and give a brief little review. Now, Deku, he had a conversation with Sir Night-Eye about being involved in the war. And things have begun to heat up between the Endeavor and the Yagi faction. Now, this is very interesting. Deku has assassinated Hawks, and Hawks, being one of the very high profile people in the Endeavor territory, yeah, his death didn't exactly go unnoticed. Deku talked to Ingenium and Tamaki about a few different things, and the two, they were quite surprised over Deku, made a bit of a spectacle, about being concerned about All Might's death. Not only that, but they were talking about how very soon their people will make a proper supply drop with proper forces to help back them up. Now, this meant quite a bit. The Endeavor faction, they've been prepared to start off a war for quite some time. And Deku's discovered that after 2 weeks, he ran into a Nomu. Not just any Nomu, a high-end, smart, intelligent, multiple quirks, and who specifically called Deku its target. Those factors don't exactly look good shining upon him. Now, Deku and it have briefly clashed, and Deku, he's been able to discover at least 5 different abilities it has. Regeneration is already a very bad one to have. But what's worse is the fact it does have shock absorption, meaning it can take a punch. But the worst part, it knows how to give one. So yeah, bad news, and more bad news. Deku finds himself standing against a fucking Nomu, a creature which he's heard stories about, made by a man Deku has heard bedtime nightmares about. He's not so sure how to feel about facing off against this thing. It's large, it's got a bulky frame, and an exposed brain. And Deku, he's not sure how to feel. This thing's been commanded by Endeavor to kill him. That is the current idea in his mind. And right now, he does still stand there. A lot going through his head about how to feel about this. And the two, they do get a rush forwards. Now, let's currently cut to about 10 to somewhere around 20 minutes later. A lot of things have been going down. And Ingenium and Tamaki have been getting their forces more active after hearing about contact in the city. Some of their scouts patrolling have encountered enemy forces, snipers, and, from what they can tell, people trying to take out Izuku Midoriya, the son of Toshinori Yagi. That's currently going on in Ingenium's mind. And the man, he was not happy whenever an attack started in their area and lower-end Nomu started rushing at them, along with enemy forces. He ordered soldiers to begin their fight, to begin the brawl, to fire upon enemy troops with no recourse in action, be it grenades, bombs, or mortars. Whatever the hell they could do, hold the line, hold them off. If those things come at them, there's a very good chance they may lose the base. And the ground, it started shaking whenever shockwaves were being produced in the distance. He got a radio transmission that Izuku Midoriya was encountering a Nomu. He got that broadcast by Bakugo Katsuki. And he was a bit more concerned whenever he tried to radio into Deku but all he got was radio silence. All he knew was those shockwaves are what were described when Deku he took down hawks. So it can only be assumed that those are him and the Nomu clashing. And it does mean quite a bit. You might as well have thunder crackle right next to your ear. All you can hear and feel is a sudden burst of air moving in one direction and then a sudden boom a few seconds later. It's as if there's thunder striking in the sky, or someone's hammering an anvil directly into your ear. A high-end Nomu is nothing to sneeze at. Ingenium, he already had plans to order people to fight that thing. Though, trying to take forces away from their current assault would be bad. And there currently is where he is facing off against a few different opponents. Throwing out orders to different people as Tamaki, he does go to order on his own forces. Currently them dividing the actions they need to take against their enemy. And there is where a sudden sound can be heard. Ingenium turning his head, hearing a whistling noise. As he does watch a building in the distance, has them go crashing through it. And it does begin to collapse. That alarming him, as we do currently have Deku, who was punched away with the Nomu and sent flying. And right now Deku, he does throw a black whip, grabbing onto the building. Him beginning to slow himself down as he is able to arc himself around and begin to move back in that direction. Trying to think about what to do. Okay. 5 different abilities. Maybe 5. It's got super strength. It can take a punch. It can heal. That's bad. The acid spit. And, well, it's got those claws. So, what can he really do? I mean, okay. It's got the sharpened teeth, so there's that, but there's a lot more. Him flying in. And right now, he does come in with a kick. Him slamming it down as the Nomu does a dodge the strike directly to its head. It taking it in the shoulder and bring up its claws, trying to slash out to Deku, who does go to throw his other foot, kicking off into the Nomu's throat. Him flying backwards to the Nomu does begin to rush him. And Izuku, he is trying to figure it out all out. When the Nomu does come flying towards him, he does continue to fly, using airburst at 50% to blast himself away very quickly. And whenever the airstrike does go blasting into the Nomu, it doesn't hardly slow it down. Currently, it continuing to chase his Deku, he does go to spin his body around and go to land on the side of a building. The concrete beginning to crack his Deku does it'll launch off. And when he does do so, he does hear the One For All users chatting away in his ear. Some talking about particular strategies that may need to have happen. They need to obviously make sure to take this thing down. It's dangerous and it's pricey. So far, Toshi is informing many of them about what a Nomu is. Nana faced some of the earlier generations in her past, though the other ones, they're talking away and yapping away about possible vulnerabilities, weaknesses. And one person does it bring up the exposed brain the creature does have. And Deku, he does think about that. Currently, him slashing out Black Whip as he does try to strike this thing across the chest and across the throat. It's going to take the blows as Deku, he does go to fly backwards and away. Him trying to think, flipping back around and bring up his gauntlet. Him going to blast out as he does pull his arm back and throw it a punch. Right now, a metallic BB going to fly out, or a metallic marble. It's flying out with a massive cocoon. It flying directly towards the Nomu as the Nomu, it does go to bring up its arms, defending its head as this BB does it fly directly into its arm and then go to fall. It ricocheting off. All momentum dead. And that does annoy Deku, though he does get to catch that. The thing's smart, it saw his aim. It knows where he wants to hit. Though, it's not against trying to fight raw might to might. So, he could try to build up a bit of a trap. Play it up in his mind, figure that out, it gonna rush him. Him alarmed as it does a fly in quickly. And Deku does a ring with his arms, blocking the strike as it does a smash its fist into his arms, and he does go flying backwards, crashing through a building and going to flip. Him landing on the side of a car as his feet, they do go to kick into it and slide backwards. Deku throwing his hands down and using Black Whip to try and embed himself in the ground. Though when he does a look up, the Nomu does come towards him again. This time, it spitting gloves of acid directly towards him. And he does a leap up into the air as Black Whip does go to disengage from the ground. It gonna watch as Deku does move up into the air and it does a leap, meeting him as Deku does a throw out his fist with a clash. Him being propelled backwards as it does carry more momentum than him. And he is then flying backwards, up into the air. And Izuku does try to figure things out. Him currently throwing his hands backwards and going to send out a massive air pressure burst, flying forwards and coming to meet the Nomu again. Right now, the two going to collide fist as Deku does go to bring his other arm. Him going to try to throw out the gauntlet to fire out into the Nomu's brain. And whenever the second BB is flying out towards the brain, it does a dodge its head as it is up in its mouth. Deku going to bring up his arms as it does a spit acid. Right now, him throwing his hands out and going to send out an air pressure burst. Him flying backwards as acid does go to land on his mask and part of his suit. Right now, Deku flying through the air as he's going to bring his hands up, quickly ripping away his mask from his face and tossing it into the air, as he does go to feel his bracers. The Nomu, yeah, it's causing some damage. Right now, Black Whip ripping through the bracers and going to throw them away. Him flying through the air and going to land into the street of a building. Right now, him going to roll backwards and away and crashing into it, as he does try to get back up and figure things out now. He's got to take out the Nomu quickly. Though, he could use some guidance here. Aim for the brain. No shit, Sherlock. Any better ideas? You could figure things out, the sixth user going to say. And Deku does understand. Some help would be nice. We could provide some. I can't provide any. My abilities are too dangerous. Danger Net's going to go off, and Izuku does a leap into the air and flip. Right on him, throwing down his leg with an axe kick. And when he does, he has a collide into the Nomu and going to slice into his body. Blood spurting from it, as Deku does going to throw his hand up and slice outwards towards its eyes. The Nomu leaning backwards and out of Deku's range. Black Whip coming in as Deku does throw his other hand out and pierce into his chest. Deku punching through as he does move backwards. The Nomu bring up his hands and grabbing Black Whip to pull Deku forwards. Right now, Deku going to try and deactivate the ability as he moves backwards. Him going to think, leaping onto the air and trying to get away. The Nomu quickly going to follow. And Deku does go to send an airburst behind him at 50%. Him coming in quickly and going to turn. The Nomu going to turn its head and reacting to Deku behind it. Deku coming in with his hand, slicing down directly towards the Nomu's brain. Before the Nomu does go to clap. Right now, the Nomu flying backwards and away from Deku, who does go to turn his hand and go to send out an air pressure burst. Him going to spin back around and beginning to fly towards the Nomu, throwing his hands behind him and sending another powerful burst. Okay, This thing's strong. Maybe his strength? No, no. He's only at 40. He's gonna need to get faster. But that's gonna be problematic. Okay, but he'll need to try and catch it by surprise. The Nomu flying away, crashing through two different buildings as Deku doesn't follow its path. Him diverging to the right and gonna move quickly. Him at 45%. And the Nomu does a turn following Deku's gaze as it does gonna lock right onto him. It's mentally cataloging his speed change. And Izuku, he does go to use 50% a one for all. This time him bursting forward his gauntlets, they do go to shatter. His air pressure gloves not going to keep up with the pressure he's exerting. And Deku, he does find himself behind the Nomu. Him spinning his body around with a kick. Him throwing on his left hook as he does get to aim for the Nomu's brain. Though his mind does begin to catch up, processing what he's seeing. Bone plates beginning to protrude from its body. And its hand coming towards him covered in sharpened layers of bone. Him taking a punch to the gut as his strike does hit its head, where its exposed brain was. Right now, him makes it flying backwards and crashing through the city. As Deku, he is sent rolling away, but he is pretty sure he fell through one of the Yaki's claimed territories. Right now, him gonna lay there in the ground and feeling his body armor, trying to take the blow. Though, him trying to sit up. Doing so successfully and going to somewhat cough. Yeah. Not good. Not good at all. These things are strong. Him getting to his feet is his body armor. It is still there. And while it might be damaged, it's better than the fact that his gauntlets and, gloves are no longer there. So, if he does have to deal with less stuff, at least he's still got his undersuit. Though, he's got to make a plan. He can't take out the brain. And whichever one of the bastards in his mind that we're talking, he's pretty sure it was All Might, well, they've been silent. The brain isn't an option anymore. Then again, Deku, feeling a grin creep along his face. When's the last time he's ever actually been able to fight like this? I mean, there was the knife fights back in the Masquerade's Gladiator tournament, but then there was those quirk fights. Nothing so destructive, so violent, so bloody. I mean, hell, he feels blood in his mouth. But he's never felt this alive. He's never felt this, him. This quirk, it's his now. All Might gave it to him when he died. The power he's getting now, it's all his. I mean, hell, the thing against him is a fucking Nomu. These things are the nightmares of fucking people, and he's fighting it. I mean, he can feel his hand shaking, but he's not afraid. He's excited. And Deku does a stare down the Nomu, which does come rushing at him again. And Deku, this time, does try to come up with a bit of a better plan. Ignoring Danger Sense again. Right now, him meeting the Nomu as the two to collide fist again. And go to clash. Them punching again, and again, and again, and again, and again. Over and over and over again. Right now, them sending shockwaves with each punch, they do get to send flying at each other. And Izuku is trying to make a strategy. The bone hood this thing created around its brain is a problem. though him dodging a strike that doesn't fly past his cheek. Right now, him sending another punch directly into its face, and trying to think about how to handle this. And we do currently have Bakugo Katsuki. Kirishima came in. He ran outside the city to try and find that sniper that was giving them some issues. And there was the fact that they were still trying to wait for the Yagi family to either back them up or figure out what they're going to be doing. Deku is fighting a Nomu. That was made quite clear. Asui, yeah, she wanted to steer clear of that, especially after cars started flying in their direction. And the clear sky, it kept having clouds disperse away and then gonna go away. Yeah. Those Nomus are already lighting things on fire. And the wind keeps blowing things in the opposite direction. And after watching 3 different buildings collapse, she was more than contented to stay away. Though, she herself had to mentally pat Deku on the back since he's terrifying. Completely and utterly terrifying. But Baku himself had to wonder about that ability. About one for all. I mean, Deku was quirkless. And now here he is fighting a goddamn Nomu? I mean, that's some serious shit. Though, yeah, that on his mind. Currently, him flying down the road and trying to figure things out. All he has to do is follow the boom, and he'll find them. Though, he's been hearing from Ingenium and Tamaki about the radio silence on Deku's end. They think his headset has been broken, and that's the reason why they can't relay orders. They need Deku to run, come back in and help back them up with a Nomu at the base. If they take them down, then they can focus efforts on the high end. If their people fall here at the base, they'll torture supplies or try to cripple them here. That is the worst possible scenario. And while they might have the 10-1 advantage, yeah. Currently, him slicing through a Nomu and trying to figure out how to get it down. Currently, it gonna send fire in his direction and blasting towards him. Ingenium bolting off and talking about it, passing by another Nomu and slicing out towards its spine. About how they have power. And Deku, we do currently cut back over to him. He does gonna bring his hands up and go to block. The Nomu sending fury of blows directly at him. And he does a slide backwards as the Nomu does come back in. Punching again and seeing him sliding backwards. Punching again and sliding him backwards. And punching again. This time, Deku going to clash and meet him with his own fist. Him going to feel the punch connect. And as soon as he does going to pull back his fist and go to bring out his right hand, using Black Whip to sharpen his fingers. Before he does a spin and slice up towards the elbow. The Nomu's arm coming off. And the moment it does, the Nomu does a roar out in pain. Deku turning and using Black Whip to slash out towards its brain. This time it gonna back away but take a strike to the eye. And the moment that is to happen, Deku does a turn, bolting as he does see something quite surprising coming his way. A smile creeping along his face as there is Bakugo Katsuki. Bakugo does come flying in quickly, and the moment he does see the Nomu, he does watch blood pooling from its arm, though it does quickly stop and the arm is already beginning to regenerate. Him coming in and going to blast out towards his brain. Him blasting it directly in the face as it set off a series of explosions. the boom's going down, and Deku does a turn. Him quickly running down the list talking about it. Strength, absorption, regeneration, spit, and spikes. Though the spikes are more like their bone. I mean, he doesn't know, but that's what he's seen so far. Right. Him gonna fly backwards away as the creature does gonna bring its arm up. It punching out as a spike does come shooting from its arm. It elongating as Bakugo does it move away. It catching the side of his body armor as he does watch parts of it fly off. And he does get a somewhat wince. Deku, surprised, coming in and rushing towards the Nomu. Bring a black whip and going to slice out towards it. Sending out multiple tendrils, trying to delay it. Bakugo nearly got caught by the first strike. Him turning and yelling, "Run away!" Him coming back in as Black Whip does to cover it. On the second user, he does say something that Deku doesn't catch. Though the third does start trying to advise him. It may be time for him to use his ability. And Deku does mentally catch that before the sixth user does get a butt in. Right now, they need a plan, some sort of retreat. If he is working with an ally, him sitting in his chair, he needs to make a plan. But it's a bit more tricky. His ally is slow, doesn't have the speed, and does not have the ability. They need a proper plan. Team tactics only work when everyone's playing along. And the enemy is far too powerful. He's outclassed. He'll die. Deku hearing, and that it does slightly annoy him. They do prove valid points. Him dodging another punch from the Nomu. Him bringing up his arm as an image a punch out, and Deku does go to begin to bleed from his arms, sliding backwards and away and throwing his hands towards the ground. Trying to focus. Stop distracting me. Third. Okay. You need to activate the ability. Remember what I told you. Can you do it? I should be able to. Though, I'm not sure how much time I can buy. You'll get your time. The sixth user going to say. And Deku himself does feel a grin plaster across his face. The Bakugo does watch Deku, frozen in fear, as he does a grin. And he does a yell out to Deku, talking about it, flying backwards and around the Nomu, who does a turn. This time, a bone spike shooting from its arm and trying to pierce out into him. Him going to bring his arm up and go to blast backwards and away. Him moving to the side as it does go to watch him pass by, turning and slashing out towards him as Deku does come in. Him going to slash towards the arm again as he's to catch it. This time, him dispersing smokescreen. And Bakugo does a blast backwards up in the air. Him alarmed by another fucking quirk. And this just feels like a fucking menagerie this guy has. Him annoyed, but pushing it down since the Nomu does take precedent. And right now he does gonna fly up into the air. Him going to bring his finger up and tap to a separate channel. You better have a good reason for that. Deku not answering. And whenever he does come flying in, he does a grab Bakugo. The two blasting away as Deku, he does go to turn. Beginning to talk about it. There's a lot going on, but right now he's got a plan. He needs him to be a bit of a distraction. Can he do that? We had to deal with the sniper guy. Besides, bosses are pissed at you. Got it. Tell me something new. Any news on backup? Not so sure. Him nodding his head. And when the two do go to finally land about 2 blocks away, he does a turn, talking about it. Right. One of the previous users has an ability. They listen, don't talk. You might have a concussion. Listen, just do whatever you can. I can buy you some time. Alright? Deku nodding thankfully, saving him an explanation. He can talk later when a thing isn't trying to kill both of them. And that's good. And right now the Nomu does come rushing forwards. Deku turning and pushing Bakugo to the side as the Nomu does get a pierce out with a blade. It catching Deku's body armor as it does continue to break down. Deku bringing his hands up and going to grab the Nomu. Him going to interlace his fingertips and go to pull down. Him using 50% of One For All, knowing it will stress his body. Though his battle suit was made for just that. Him pulling down hard and beginning to feel the Nomu's bone begin to break. And the Nomu, it does go to throw its knee out towards Deku. Deku meeting with a knee as Bakugo does go blasting out towards the eyes. The Nomu turning and going to bring up its hand. It's going to throw out a punch of air pressure. And Deku does a back away and throw out a left hook. Him throwing it out at 60%, feeling his body strain under the pressure. And he does let Nomu go to slide backwards and away. And this time, he doesn't mentally note that it didn't stay planted. Absorption. No, nullification. There's a limit. Then on Deku's mind, happy to know that. He knew cutting force worked, but now he's figured out something else. And Bakugo, he does it and move back in. This time Deku going to throw more smoke out. Before there is a sound, and a massive flash is to go off, blinding Deku as the Nomu does a move backwards, roaring at another sound. And someone does it to add their voice to the battle, expressing. They've got to figure things out. Toru coming in. Her talking about it. Going to land nearby Deku and begin to pull him away. Her talking about it. Listen, there's a lot going on. The bosses are pissed, and right now, he needs to figure this out. Does he have a plan? You're ruining it. Him annoyed. Him stopping the rotation of his wrist. And Toru does talk about it. She can play distraction if he needs that. I don't need a distraction. Bakugo's playing distraction. Just move. Her nodding her head and turning. Talking about how she can do something. But if he's got an ability that can help them, then just do it already. Him annoyed but brushing her off. And the Nomu, it does gonna clap its hands and send everyone flying. Deku sliding as he does still stay planted. Right on the Nomu turning towards him. And he does activate Fajin. Right now, his hands glowing red. And this does alarm Toru. As Deku does go to step forwards and bolt. Him rushing at 50% of One For All, jerking the Nomu. And this time, whenever their fists do collide, Deku's use Fajin to punch into the Nomu, and it does go to react. Its arm flying backwards and beginning to pull it away. It throwing out another fist as Deku does a duck underneath and come in with an uppercut. Him punching it hard with his other fist. And this time Deku does feel bones cracking and going underneath him. This going to be where Deku does throw out his hand and go to use Black Whip. It catching the beast's legs as Bakugo, he does go to talk about it. He's got a plan! And Deku does come down. Him pulling this thing down and smashing it to the ground as he does go to come up. Him flipping forwards fast. And the Nomu, he does go to slash down into and cut into hard. Right now his legs using Fajin to pierce into his chest. Slashing through his Deku, he does it a grin. Him gonna rip the Nomu up into the air whenever he does gonna feel it begin to regenerate. And this time, he does begin to try and pull. The Nomu, it does try to resist, throwing its hands down and grabbing out towards him. And Deku, he does go to watch as something does fly past its back, and it does have its arm go limp. Him turning and watching the other arm. Right now, this being a monumental occasion, as the other arm also does go limp. And this time, he does hear a familiar voice. Gotta say, kid, you really do surprise me. Mirako on the battlefield. And Deku, he does go to watch on. Right now, him going to turn as he does go to see Tamaki. And Tamaki, he does it a grin, using his own tendrils to keep the other arm restrained. Though, he is visibly straining in the way his body language is going to show. And Deku does nod his head, before someone does come flying in, and they do talk about it. Now, that's not fair. Them gonna land as a vial does a drop. And Deku, he does have blood pooling on him as he does gonna turn. Right now, him trying to chuck the Nomu in their direction. And Tamaki, he does pull back his hand the moment the Nomu does begin to start producing spikes. And Deku, he does watch this thing fly towards him like a spiky hedgehog. Now, this is where the person, they do gonna stay planted. The Nomu going to throw its hands out and go to alter its course, crash to the ground, and beginning to get back to their feet. And Dabi does clap his hands, stepping forwards. Talking about it. Now. This is fun. Interesting. Watching the battle, he's felt like throwing some hands himself. But all of them, well, that's just not fair. So, well, he thought he'd go ahead and even the odds a little bit. Come on now. What are they so afraid of? Deku bolting. Him rushing at Dabi as Dabi, he does watch Deku disappear. 1 second he was there. The next, Deku, he is throwing a fist at Dabi. And over his hand does stop the Nomu, it does go to puncture Deku's hand with claws. And Deku does go to feel the claws pierce into his hand. Him roaring it in pain as Dabi does go to throw at his hand and try to blast out flames at Deku, not trying to miss his chance to take out the Yagi's golden child, let alone someone who can throw hands with a Nomu. And Deku, he does go to pull his hand down hard. Him ignoring the pain and leaping up in the air. Him gonna come down and throwing his feet down as he does a shove off quickly with a kick. And Dabi, he does get pushed backwards with a Nomu thrown hard. It taking the air pressure that does gonna pierce into the ground and strike up the concrete. As Deku does land and talk about how he needs a minute. And they all do begin to look towards Dabi and the Nomu. The Nomu, it does go to have a bunch of open wounds. Arms still partially useless, though it does raise them, ignoring some of the tendons that have yet to regenerate. They're weakened. But the quirks, they're the main problem. Tricky little things. The spit is going to be an interesting problem. But then there's Dabi. Mirako staring at the fire he's producing. Bluish white flames. He's taking a fucking quirk enhancer. And that is a problem. Though Deku's hand and, well, his body. His body armor's gone to shit, And there's the expression on his face, battle lust. She can relate. She's quite happy about that. And this is where the group, they do just stare down the Nomu. Rhino Deku, he does continue to rotate his wrist, trying to build up momentum. And Dabi does a throw at his hands, blasting on ice directly at the group. And Deku does go forwards to meet them. This time, him bolting forwards in front of the group and blasting it with 50%, smashing into the ice hard. This time, them alarmed as Deku's a blast back the ice and the Nomu does go sliding backwards. Dabi himself being sent flying by the attack that does go to break out. And Mirako does a watch on semi-stunned as Deku does go to hold out his left hand. The red glow fading from his arm. And he does continue to hold up his right arm. This time, him going to begin to throw punches of air pressure. Her watching on his Deku, he does go to move down onto his knees. Him jumping back up and throwing them out forwards, throwing one up at the sky as he does try to think about what he can do. The third user speaking in Deku's ear, and even All Might does comment on Deku's way of stockpiling strength. Deku is spinning, him going to throw up kicks directly at everyone, and they do to look at him funny. Right now, Mirako does go to watch on. Tamaki is wary. Currently, him going to shove a few things into his mouth as he does it to focus. Right. So there's that. Something flying through the air as Deku does go to kick out some air pressure and hit it. The bone spike shot through the air does go off course, smashing to the ground as Deku does go to spin around and watch. Rhino Dabi on his feet, annoyed and ordering the Nomu to take them down. And Deku does it a bolt forwards using 50% of One For All and Fajin. And he does it to find himself directly from the Nomu, throwing out the punch with his left hand. And whenever it does collide, the shockwave does go to send everyone flying. Rhino the Nomu sent sliding backwards and away down the road. But Deku does leap off again, his other foot coming in and blasting at the Nomu. Him overpowering its shock absorption and sliding it backwards again. This time, him going to leap off again using more of Fajin's stockpiled power. Going to throw his hand out and going to counter his force. And the air pressure does a burst through his Deku, does go to spin his body around, using the charge in his right hand he just built up, trying to smash out towards the Nomu's brain. And whenever he does a smash into that armored helmet that the Nomu calls a skull, he does find it crack. It going to come under his blow as Deku does go watch it fly forwards and into the ground, rolling down the road and trying to stop itself. But whenever it does it land, there is Dabi. Dabi does get very concerned, him rushing forwards and blasting out eyes with his left hand, before he does it a turn and blasts out fire. And everyone, they do begin to be wary. Right now, Deku does come in, him moving towards Dabi, who does go to turn, blasting a wall of ice towards Deku as he does to order the Nomu. Get out of here now! They need to go quickly! And Deku, he does gotta bring his hands up, him punching out towards the ice as Dabi, he already has created a pillar that doesn't send him up in the air. And someone, they do start talking about it. Now that's something else. Him turning his head and seeing another person, who does quickly start moving away on a small body of ice under their feet. And Dabi does roar out in anger about what they're doing. And he does a turn, watching as the Nomu, it did gonna leap into the air and gonna blast off quickly. Him highly annoyed, but gonna turn back. And everyone, they do start reporting on the situation. Deku, though, he does feel his hand. Right now, blood still pooling from it, but staring at where Black Whip wrapped around his palm. It's a bit of a rush job, but it's the best he can do for right now. Though, him turning to Mirako, and she does talk about how they've got a lot they've got to discuss. Though, they've got to go. What's wrong? Where's your piece? My piece? Him pulling it out of his pouch and gonna bring it up to his ear. Clicking it, as he does hear someone yelling on open channels about the distress they're still facing. They've managed to push back some of the Nomu. They've even managed to kill one. But all these bastards are relentless. Along with their forces, they may not last. They're running out of ammunition, and those with offensive quirks are beginning to have trouble. They need backup. And Deku does it a nod. Him turning to Mirako as she does gonna give a confirming grin. And they do being a bolt. Reno Bakugo blasting off after them as Toru, she does a stare on the group. Tamaki flapping his wings and turning. Him bringing out his tendrils and grabbing onto Toru. Her yelping in surprise, but gonna nod. Before vocally talking about how they've got to go now. Though, put her on a roof. Do they have a rifle? We might. Good. I need someone with open air. Him nodding. And she does gonna be carried away by Tamaki. Now, Deku does arrive. Him showing up and sending a powerful kick out, slashing through one of the Nomu's heads. Him quickly taking out the brain as the fire ability does it to disperse. And there is Bakugo, who does a semi-powerful explosion and come in. Him blasting out and taking out the Nomu's brain. And that, it does go to surprise everybody. As right now there is where a bullet does a flying through the air and it is shot directly into one of Nomu's eye. Them roaring in pain as there is Tamaki, who does gonna come down and smash directly into the Nomu's brain. Him gonna turn and throw his tendrils. Them going to wrap around a Nomu who does gonna roar out. It blasting out with ice and trying to fight. Though he does a spit a bone spike into the Nomu that does gonna kill it. It surprising both Bakugo and Deku. And the two do just stare on. As Tamaki does a turn. A number of the people, they do continue their fight. Some redirecting their attacks at some of the remaining Nomu. Though the retreating force does try to continue to retreat, the ones in more critical states have to fight. They can't get away otherwise. And that is a big problem. Reno Deku coming in and going to slash out at Nomu. It turning its attention towards him as it does come at him, and Deku does go to grab its arms. It throwing its hands out towards him. Him grabbing them and throwing his foot out, kicking and ripping the arms off. Before it does go to roar out towards him, and he does come in with a slash, slicing its head off quickly with his hand. And right now, he does look around. Face covered in blood and grinning. Body armor mostly destroyed and turning around. And people, they do go to stare on at Deku, who is panting heavily. He does go to turn back, seeing the battlefield empty. Bodies strewn across the ground. Their own people and Nomus. And he is currently breathing hard. Mirako walking up and patting him on the arm. Him wincing as she does tell him, "Good work." Him nodding his head. And she does a turn. Right now, recover the dead, find the wounded, treat them. The Todoroki faction wanted to try and see what they can do. They got a test. And they managed to hold the damn line. They sent in a fuck ton of monsters and they pushed them back. That's a good goddamn thing in her book. And even then, her turning and grabbing Deku by the wrist and holding up his arms. This bastard right here managed to hold off a high end, giving them an advantage. Others begin to roar out, and Deku does return to her a little confused. Before his mind does begin to try and process a few things. Him looking up towards the sky and staring on at the... Wait. How long was he fighting that damn Nomu? I mean, hell. What? How much time has passed today? Then on Deku's mind. And he is taken away to get treatment by a doctor. Deku, he did fight that. There's a lot going on, and if there is another attack, then he needs to be present. He needs to be ready. But they did tell Deku quite simply. He's got holes in his hand. That's a problem. From what they can tell, his arms are going to be covered in bruises. And from what they can see from the way he does cough a bit of blood, he may have internal damage. But there's also one very, very important factor. The moment his adrenaline does stop numbing his pain, he may either black out, or he may no longer be able to lift his fucking arms. So, if they do not do their fucking job, he will fucking pass out, someone will die, and people may blame him. So, listen to their orders, stuff it, and lay the fuck down to be healed. And he begrudgingly did listen. After his adrenaline did come down, Deku didn't want to admit it, but he almost passed out. He got healed, got some pills, and he had his left hand not only bandaged up and wrapped up, but put in a bit of a sling. His right arm did take some damage, but he managed to deal with quite a bit of it. Then again, being put in a combat situation like that, it feels incredible. I mean, this new quirk, along with Smokescreen, not a bad combination. Though, he's going to need to experiment with those more when he gets the chance. The camp was lively, and Deku was quite happy when someone came walking over to surprise him. Currently, him sitting around a campfire with a beer with some other people. Them talking about a few different things. His battle suit was destroyed, but he did wear the remnants of it, which did have the tattered remains of his name on it. The Yagi symbol slashed across, and his moniker taken off. It did mean quite a bit. People kept calling him Aftershock. And while that was something that Deku did like as a moniker, he also kept hearing people call him the Boom. Bakugo, though, he did want to give Deku a little shit talking about how he froze during the fight. Then again, he's not sure the best way to tell him he's talking to dead people. So there was that. And while Deku was talking with quite a few different soldiers, there was where Kami came walking over and did go to not only sit down on Deku's lap a little hard, she did get to hold out another beer for him. Deku grunting with a bit of pain in his legs. And she does a wrapping arm around him and go to lean forwards, kissing him and going to turn. Oh, what did she miss? Her holding up her own beer. Not much. Your boy toy took on a high end. Can you believe that? Yeah, I gotta say, man, that's some pretty good shit. Yeah, He's practically a Nomu himself. Izuku the Nomu. Not a very good moniker. Please. You could get worse. Being compared to that could be a lot worse. Izuku the High End. See, now that might be something there. I don't know. I'm still particular to the Aftershock thing. Huh. What happened to the man without fear? Because whenever I checked, you froze like a bitch. I didn't freeze. I had to mentally readjust. Sure, you did. All I know is you froze, so can't use that one. You know, not believable. You froze? Mirako does it a say, turning to look at Deku, a bit surprised. No, there's a lot going on. Listen, I'd love to explain more, Mirako, but some details of this are hard to understand. Him looking from her to Bakugo. And Bakugo, he does get a nod, dropping it. Going to express. There is the whole thing about their own identities, though. What do you mean? Deku's saying without skipping a beat, happy to change the conversation. Only one person noticed, but Deku, he hasn't. Right now, Mirako does a nod, talking about it. One of her first names was Tiger Bunny. People called her that because she was ferocious, and she was a bunny, which those two kinda don't mix. But, well, there's your epitaphs. You seriously don't remember? I mean, I'm flattered you even know me, but come on. Rock solid, Kirishima going to pump his hand to his heart. And she does go to grin, talking about it. See, when she thinks of rock solid the way he did that, she doesn't exactly feel like it talks about a wall. Yeah, I think she's right. Some people going to laugh at Kirishima. And Kirishima does a turn talking about it. Shut up then, Sparky. They're not sparks. Okay, fine then, hothead. Anything else? Or, oh, I have a good one. Bang bitch. Everyone laughing a bit harder at Bakugo. And Bakugo, while he does look angry and a bit red in the face, he himself does get a grin. Talking about it. Okay, little blue pill, shut up. But seriously though, there is a lot happening. I mean, there's a number of other things though. I mean, Tamaki is... What even really is his epitaph? Or his name? Well, he likes to go by one, but a lot of people know him by the Consumer. Or even famously, the Cannibal. I like that one. See, now that one's good. I think that one actually has some oomph to it. Kind of like Aftershock. Kimi does a say. And Deku, he does a turn, looking her directly in the eye. Her giving him a pout as she is bringing his second beer up to his face. Her icing the side of it as Deku, he does go to lean forwards. Right now his head touching the side of hers. And she does go to look down at Deku. Right now, Deku talking about it. There's a lot happening, but epitaphs are a whole other thing. They've still got to figure out what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, the fight with Inomu wasn't too bad, but there's a lot of things up in the air, right? You're right, there are. Mirako does say, deadpan and serious, showing the shift she does try to envelop. And everyone, they immediately feel a little bit more sober. Deku finds his senses sharpened. And she does get to continue. They don't know what tomorrow might bring. They managed to take down 3 Nomu and at the very least 20 of their people. That's a pretty good number. Though they did lose about 15. It's not typically a standard trade-off, but it's Nomu. So you have to count that. They're at least worth about 10, maybe 15 guys, depending on the quirks. What about a high end? See, kid, if you managed to get the high end this afternoon, you could have saved us a lot more problems. A high end can be anywhere from maybe 100 to 200 people. Pretty decent army. Maybe in 300, I'm not really sure. With them, it gets sort of iffy. All you really know is if a high end's involved, shit's already hit the fan and you need a bigger umbrella. Fair enough. Yeah. Most of my suit's fucked up. The only thing I got left are the boots. And, well, I don't know if I can salvage the other gauntlet, but I can try. What do you mean? I thought your gauntlet was okay. That's the glove. The glove and gauntlets, they seem to pair. It's odd. I need to place an order with Nezu anyways. He's working on some new stuff for me, but I need to tell him about some design alterations. Him saying, conveying some heavy thoughts, but trying to be a little bit more mischievous with them. Design alterations could mean a number of things. But those in the know, they do know something has happened. Kami does pick up on that too. Deku has multiple quirks. And from what she's heard, the battle, it was insane. At one point, the forces being thrown around there was enough to collapse buildings. And right now, about a fourth of the city, it is either without windows or has serious, heavy damage. So there's that. By the time this battle is over, this city might be left as part of the Badlands. Too damaged to reinvest into. Whoever moves in here, they might be able to set up shop. But that's if this place isn't a smoldering crater of ash or collapsed under its own weight. So there is that. Now, Deku, he does just sit there. Right now, turning his head as Kami, she still is looking down, staring down her own beer with a complicated gaze. And he does go to lean back. The moment he does, she does get a perk up, looking up and trying to glance at him, as if she's seeing him for the first time. Are you okay? Huh? Oh, sorry, her going to lower the beer from his face. And she does go to bring her arm around and hand it off to him. Jumping up. She's got a lot on her mind. She may have to go tomorrow morning with everyone else, but it was nice to stick around. Maybe they, no, never mind. That's, her face beginning to turn a bit red. Before people do start laughing, and she does a turn glaring at some of them, turning to run off. And Mirako does get to talk about it. Well, seems like he's popular. That was weird. She does have the right idea, though. Him turning his head, confused. Her going to look at Deku and roll her eyes. No, kid. I'm talking about getting some rest. Tomorrow's a new day. All of you can finish your beers or whatever, and for those who don't have watch, at least try to stay a little bit more sober. The situation can get fucked at any moment. We're not expecting anything, but that doesn't mean lower your guard. None of us are on watch. Bakugo saying with some seriousness. Others around the area going to nod. And Mirako does a jump to her feet. Her going to stretch and go to turn, popping her back as she does a tell Deku. Right now, a lot's happening. They still gotta look into what's going on with that Shinso kid. Shinso? Wait, I thought he was dead. Oh, no, he's alive. We found him. Locals picked him up after the supply drop. We think they turned him over to Endeavor's family. That's what he's been saying. Though we're a bit wary of him. We're looking into it, and there are signs of torture. The kids brought up a few different things that they're interesting. Some of the information he does have, though, we're trying to learn. He mentioned that they gave him an offer, and that he could have spied on us from the inside. You're serious? Yeah. He did refuse, but he did make a show of looking into it a bit more. He almost thought to agree and come back with us with the information. But they might have tried to make him swear an oath. An oath? Yeah. Each family has their own way of doing things. You have your oath, and breaking it is a serious thing to the Yagis. The Endeavors, we think they have a similar thing. They like to keep things close to their chest. They highly value honor and individuality. But they are aware of a strong foundation and yada yada. You know? Not really. Whatever, kid. Listen, Recovery Girl doesn't want you in a tent. She wants you to get some good rest, so you're over there in that building. Her going to throw a finger over her shoulder, talking about it. Rest up well and get some good sleep. If she's right, he might have an actual couple of days of proper healing. So, if that does happen, then once he's a bit more rested, they can spar. Go a few rounds and see what he can do. She is itching for a fight, and if the Endeavors don't pop off soon, she is going to go rabid. Him going to chuckle. And go to kill the rest of his beer and go to stand. Bring up his hand and going to pat Mirako on the arm. Talking about how, walking away, they might be able to spar tomorrow. Though, don't try to go after his weakened side. She may find it to be quite surprising. Him heading off to his appointed room. He knows he's being given some preferred treatment, but people, they aren't mentioning anything. He took on a high-end Nomu. Right now, he's being treated adequately. A royal carpet. I mean, it makes some sense to him. If that Nomu got to their headquarters, then there could have been an actual massacre. The Endeavors didn't factor in him being as powerful as he was, let alone if he had the chance being able to take out a high end. Yeah, there's that. Though, Deku going to lay down. Right now, him slipping his shoes off as he does find himself on a comfortable mattress in a warm room. A good, comfy bed and a pillow waiting for him. Right. It's gonna be a lot. Then again, he is looking forward to his rematch with that Nomu. If he can take it down, it will definitely be one hell of a trophy. Right after Hawks. Then again, he should aim for a Todoroki. See what he could do there. Him going to fall asleep. However, someone they are watching Izuku Midoriya. And today his actions have seriously caught their attention. They're not sure how exactly to report on it. I mean, everything they've seen, heard, witnessed. I mean, Izuku Midoriya is a walking anomaly of a man. The claims he's made and what they've been able to verify don't exactly add up too well. I mean, if they're reporting this information, how is it going to sound? Believable, odd, confusing, deranged? I mean, she might as well walk in there with a fucking Easter bunny and see what she can do. That on her mind. Though, maybe there is an idea. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed and have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.